Coming up on Focal Point, Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts join forces.
Troop 164 will be the first generation of girls that can become Eagle Scouts. Up next on Focal Point.
Calling 911, Ingham County changes its policy and joins 49 other Michigan counties. And maybe you've thrown darts, but a new business in Lansing steps it up a bit. All these stories now on Focal Point.
Hello and welcome to Focal Point. I'm Kendall Ashman.
And I'm Tiara Terry.
911 is now more accessible to everyone. Christine Canerva tells us why Ingham County and so many other Michigan counties adopted a solution in order to help everybody.
911, what's the location of your emergency?
It's the call for help.
Do you see anybody?
It's an emergency. But what if you couldn't call?
Somebody's choking, they can't speak.
Just text.
So their only option is trying to put a text message through.
Ingham County is now one of the 49 counties in Michigan to enact the Text 911 service.
Call if you can, text if you can't.
If you are in a situation where you have to text 911, Ingham County says to follow these 3 steps. First, send them your exact location so that they can send emergency vehicles to you right away. Then text them your situation so that the right team can be sent to you. And finally, information. Stay on the phone until emergency personnel is with you.
Without that location, with a text message, we have no idea where you're at.
It'll be a life-saving alternative.
People with hearing disabilities have a very difficult time hearing, understanding speech over the telephone.
In order to serve and protect all.
It takes away us from being in isolation.
It might be somebody in a domestic situation where making a phone call puts them in more danger.
I'm Christine Canerva, Focal Point News.
If you have an emergency and need to text 911, remember to follow the 3 important steps. Send them your exact location, briefly explain your emergency, and give them any information you feel is vital.
Gretchen Whitmer, Michigan's 49th governor, received a warm welcome in cold weather as she delivered her first State of the State address. A big crowd came out on a cold day at the Capitol for the State of the State address. Whitmer focused her speech on improving drinking water and education. You might remember one of her campaign promises to fix Michigan's potholed roads, and she talked about the progress on that issue. Whitmer also signed an executive order banning discrimination based on sexual orientation.
Michigan's problems are not partisan problems. Potholes are not political. And there is no such thing as Republican or Democratic school kids or drinking water. Our challenges affect us all.
Michigan Republican lawmakers have expressed concern over where the money will come from to fix the roads and infrastructure.
The Boy Scouts have been around for 108 years. Will it look different with girls? I met Troop 164, some of the first girls now part of Scouts. They're not only changing history, but stereotypes.
Very difficult to say when you can't do something.
Marla Acola is penciling in her daughter's future.
And morally straight. Thank you guys for sharing some space with us. We appreciate it.
Rewriting a tradition, if you will.
How many of you did the Scout Law? Scout Oath?
These girls, Troop 164, are making history. They're part of Scouts BSA, formerly known as Boy Scouts of America.
I think that's actually a really good idea.
And for Heather Coleman, the idea was as good as ever.
I've always wanted to be a Boy Scout ever since my brother joined Cub Scouts when I was like 6.
Her twin brother. Study after study shows that Boy Scout membership continues to fall. Some blame the LDS Church for leaving. That alone made numbers drop to 18.5%. As of now, 5,000 girls are enrolled nationally, which has increased membership to 0.4%. And here's why.
I wanted to do a bunch of camping, and the Girl Scouts don't tend to do that kind of stuff as much.
But Girl Scout Representative Christian Schreider says that's a false narrative.
And the story is that, oh, they just do girl stuff, they do cooking, they do craft.
But to be clear, while girls are now part of Scouts, they still meet separately from the boys.
But if we fail to provide those spaces for girls, then we're not going to have those opportunities for girls to try new things without worrying about what other people are thinking.
But for Troop 164, the controversy is the least of their worries.
Any other ideas?
For now, it's French toast or waffles on this weekend's camping trip.
You know what? If we have French toast on Saturday, then we can have waffles on Sunday.
Girl Scouts of America filed a lawsuit against the Scouts BSA on trademark infringement for dropping the name boy. They fear the public will think the two organizations merged together or that Girl Scouts no longer exist. But as for Troop 164, they're not wasting any time. They went on a camping trip this past weekend, and hopefully they managed to stay warm.
So you've had a tough day at work or at school, and throwing darts at the neighborhood bar just doesn't sound satisfying. Focal Point's Lauren Wallenfels may have just found what you're looking for.
You may or may not have heard of axe throwing. That's right, axe throwing. It's become the latest craze, and it's recently found itself in Lansing after owner Rich Baker and his wife opened Bullseye Axe Throwing.
Started up about 8 months ago now. We're bringing something to Lansing it's never been done before here.
Axe throwing is the latest trending activity. You might have seen it in Detroit or other cities, but now it's available in Lansing. It's a modern twist on a traditional darts game. The goal is to try and hit a bullseye, but with an axe. People of all ages find themselves enjoying axe throwing. It's a little bit dangerous, a little bit thrilling, but a whole lot of fun. Either by appointment or walk-in, you can axe throw. Just check in, and soon enough, you're learning the ropes of axe throwing.
When you get back here and then checked in, we go through safety with you. That's our number one priority here is safety.
Axe throwing offers a lot of fun for a diverse range of ages.
So we got 8-year-olds coming in throwing up to 80-year-olds.
In fact, the youngsters show us just how it's done.
Yeah, I have 3 bullseyes.
And Casey found Bullseyes to be the perfect place for him and his friends to celebrate his birthday.
Everything, the atmosphere is cool, throwing them and trying to get that bullseye is the best thing you could possibly try to do.
Rich displays just some of the techniques of throwing the axe. I even got to try out axe throwing. I'm Lauren Wallenfels, Focal Point News.
If you think axe throwing looks something you might enjoy, you should check it out for yourself. They're right in Lansing in Reeltown, and it's a great environment to have fun with friends.
The Art Council of Greater Lansing is in charge of all things art and music in the Lansing area. There's no end in sight to great music and great art in mid-Michigan. It's all thanks to their biggest supporter. The nonprofit Art Council of Greater Lansing sits in a storefront in Old Town. It just finished a 3-year strategic plan to keep music and art thriving in Lansing. Executive Director Debbie McCula helps create many of the events.
In 3 years, we want to come back and go, oh, what did we do? What did we finish, right? We want to make sure that on a yearly basis, we're checking things off and we're really strategizing for how to make our community a better place through the lens of arts and culture.
The new 3-year strategic plan calls for an even greater focus on the artists, a new diversity committee, and the formation of an inclusion committee.
With the weather being rather brisk outside, an ice-cold beverage may not be the most ideal winter beverage unless you visited the 7th Annual Art and Craft Beer Fest last weekend in downtown Lansing, where guests were treated to a wide variety of locally brewed beers. Attendees began their night inside the Cadillac Room at Riverview Church, where a $15 ticket allowed entry to all 4 venues. Drinks and featured beers from Dark Horse Brewing Company were made available during the night session's live comedy act. Small trinkets and pieces of art were on sale throughout the event, which is something that festival organizer Paul Starr hoped would bring in a draw to the event.
I mean, that's kind of what I'm hoping. I'm really just trying to bring local artists in and promote them and help them, get a little more exposure.
Starr believes the event is getting bigger and more popular every year and plans to host it again next year. From fashion to beauty to health tips, women had the chance to get pampered this weekend.
Plus, a sorority on campus brought some love to cancer patients for Valentine's Day. We have more right after the break.
Theater, loving musicals. I never would have thought that could have been my career until suddenly I'm working on a rewrite for the draft of my show as we're about to open on Broadway. And I'm like, oh my God, well, I guess this is what I'm doing now. Because I came out to LA not knowing anyone, I would have my internship from 7 in the morning till 7 at night, and I would stay on the Disney lot in this office from 7 at night until midnight because I also didn't own a computer. And I would just keep my script on this floppy disk, and I just spent the nights writing a script. And then I just kind of put it on a shelf and forgot about it. I met a screenwriter who took me under his wing I shared my script with him. He liked it enough to share it with his agent. And then suddenly I was like off and writing. The most important thing you're going to get out of college is the hunger to be curious. And I think that's what college really is most important for, is it teaches you how to learn. If you stay curious and you desire to learn, you really have infinite possibilities.
Imagine walking into a convention center and being instantly transformed with an oasis for the mind, body, and spirit. It's exactly what Lansing's 19th Annual Women's Expo is all about. Every year, Lansing residents have the opportunity to shop, engage, and socialize all within the same venue.
This is our 19th year, and we've actually made the show even larger this year. We've added the third vending hall. Typically, it's only been run out of 2 vending halls, and we made it even larger.
Over 300 businesses across mid-Michigan are chosen to market their products and services to the women of Lansing.
Expo's been going great. You know, everybody's been real nice. As you can see, you know, the booths next to us are really cool. You know, we've met a lot of cool people, and we've done a lot of good business.
Just to look around and get free stuff.
And others choose to engage in interactive activities such as painting sessions, teeth whitening, and hairstyling services.
It's a great community event. We get every year thousands and thousands of people attend. Everybody looks forward to it. Plus we get a lot of community support.
If you missed out on this year's expo, be sure to look out for the Michigan International Women's Show in May.
If you're like me, you can't start the day without a double tall, non-fat, skinny half-calf latte with a half-inch of foam. I am kidding, but I do work at Starbucks, so I have heard them all. Anyway, we all have our favorite coffee shop. Now you have another choice in East Lansing.
That's right, Kendall. How about an event that will chill you to the bone, but warm your heart?
Lauren Wallenfallis joins us live in the newsroom and has details on those stories and more in our on-campus report. Lauren?
Thank you, Tiara and Kendall. The Tim Tebow Foundation hosted its annual Night to Shine event last Friday to celebrate people with special needs. The dance was hosted at more than 655 churches from all around the world, celebrating more than 100,000 honorary guests. The dance is meant to be a prom-like event for people with special needs. People were seen walking down the red carpet, getting their own crown and tiara, and breaking it down on the dance floor. 242 churches locally from Lansing to Ann Arbor held dances. Along with the honorary guests, thousands of volunteers help out at the event in order to make the night a night to shine. The weather in Michigan has been brutal, but that didn't stop these Ingham County residents from taking a dip. If you told these people to chill out, they might take you literally. Dozens of people dressed up in costumes or wore their everyday clothes as they took the plunge. The freezing dip took place at the Cooley Law School Stadium. The event was created to raise funds for the Special Olympics. Participants with intellectual disabilities competed for prizes. The plungers thought jumping in the ice water was completely worth it.
Just bringing the community together for a good cause. The Special Olympics is just a great cause to donate to and to help out, so it's just great to be a part of. It definitely gets colder every year for sure, so yeah, no, it's definitely just the butterflies.
It was the 15th year of the event, and we are pretty sure that one of them has been cold. If you're like me, you can't get going without that cup of coffee. Now you have another choice. A local Lansing coffee shop is expanding. Lansing's own Blue Owl Coffee Shop is opening 3 additional shops in Grand Rapids, Lansing's Old Town, and East Lansing. Co-owner Nick Berry started the operation from a coffee bike to their current Rio Town location. The East Lansing location at 213 Ann Street will open up at the end of February. Berry hopes the new 3,000 square foot shop will play a small role in the new story being written in the city.
We just want to be a part of the story. Like, there is a huge transition going on in East Lansing, and we're just excited to be able to house the beginnings of the stories for a lot of people in the neighborhood. Like, what's it look like to live in East Lansing? What's it look like to be a student in East Lansing? We want to be the place where those conversations start.
In addition to the 3 shops opening, Berry said he hopes to be able to expand the business to 10 cities in the next 10 years.
Thanks, Lauren. Both the men's and women's basketball teams took on Wisconsin this past week.
Alec Rio joins us at the sports desk with a preview.
They both took on the Badgers. One team did well, and the other team didn't do so well. We'll have that and more coming up in sports.
Students are crucial to WKAR's success. It's a great opportunity for the students to learn, and it's a great chance for us to teach students so that they're ready to go out into the real world. Students are the heartbeat of WKAR.
Backstage Pass has given me hands-on experience working with the team and working with the equipment.
Going to class, you learn all this stuff, but then being able to apply it while you're a student as well is really fantastic.
It's been awesome seeing a project go from just emails to a full production day where we have bands coming in. It's been awesome to see that bigger picture come to life.
I'm always excited when I get to work on live productions, especially Backstage Pass.
Having this knowledge at my disposal while I'm in college is really beneficial to what I want to do after I graduate.
It's extremely important to have students because it helps with the success of WKAR and public broadcast as a whole. The opportunities are endless for students here.
MSU finally got back on track, beating Minnesota 79-55 earlier in the week. But next, they had to travel to Madison, Wisconsin for a huge matchup with the Badgers. Let's jump straight into the second half of this one. Tied at 53, but not for long. Cassius Winston dials in from three-point range. He led the team in scoring, pouring in 23 points. Spartans up 3. But the Badgers would answer. Wisconsin big man Ethan Happ, backing up Nick Ward in the post, puts up a quick shot that falls. Badgers within 1 with 6 minutes remaining. But Kenny Goins comes up clutch for the Spartans once again. Goins with the dagger to seal a huge victory for the Spartans. What a shot from the former walk-on. MSU defeats Wisconsin 67-59. Head coach Tom Izzo gives all the credit to his guys after this gutsy win.
The second half, we got back to what makes Michigan State who it is. I mean, we locked it up defensively. We got a running game going a little bit. The situation where it was a big game for them, big game for us, I think shows you a lot of character about my guys, and I give them all the credit in the world.
And as March approaches, every game becomes a little more important, especially if the Spartans want to repeat as Big Ten regular season champs. Their next game is against Ohio State University this Sunday at the Breslin Center. Tip-off is set for 1 p.m. The women's basketball team was also in Wisconsin. Would they have the same outcome as the men? Let's jump into the highlights. Coming off a career-high 32 points against Indiana last game, Shea Colley kept the offensive tempo rolling as she scores 24 points for the Spartans. The rest of the team had trouble scoring, however, as they were only able to log in 8 points in the first quarter. The offensive woes continued throughout the rest of the game as they lost 79-62 in Madison, Wisconsin. MSU is still having problems on the road, and their offensive production is a concern to Susie Merchant.
We have to look at this one first. I mean, people got to come back to life. I don't know. I mean, it's the same offense and the same players that were, executing and scoring the ball against way, way better teams.
For some reason, this team just can't win on the road. That could make it tough for them in March. Their next game is on the road in Nebraska this Sunday. Let's move over to a huge matchup that took place on the ice. MSU hockey took on Michigan. The first game of the series didn't go the Spartans' way. They lost 5-3 at Michigan, but they looked to win Game 2 at a different venue. The two teams play at Little Caesars Arena to finish this weekend series. Michigan got off to a hot start, scoring 2 in the first period and going up 3-0 in the third. 2 goals from Mitchell Lewandowski made it a 1-goal game, but Michigan came back with 2 more and took home the weekend sweep. 5-2 the final.
But overall, I thought the guys competed and battled hard tonight. I think there's some things that we can do better. I don't know if it was our best weekend, but you know what? I give Michigan some credit. They skated well and took away time and space. And hey, you tip your hat and you move on. And we get ready for Penn State next week.
Like Coach Cole said, the Spartans will host Penn State this weekend. The puck will drop at 7 p.m. later tonight. That's all we have for sports. I'm Alec Rio.
Thank you, Alec, for the update. After this, you may want to grab some popcorn and your favorite movie snacks. Focal Point's Lacey Hudson with our Movie Minute.
Patrick stars Sarah, a young woman whose life is already a bit hectic. To add on to her messiness, Sarah inherits her grandmother's very spoiled pug named Patrick. Will the pooch make matters worse, or could he possibly make Sarah's life better?
Under a bridge.
world's changed.
Donnybrook follows the lives of 3 very unique and troubled individuals looking for a way out. They set out on a journey to Donnybrook where they could win a brawl, earning them a $100,000 cash prize, or where they could lose their lives. Will Donnybrook be their saving grace or their final destination?
It's how you fight is all that counts at the Donnybrook.
That's your Movie Minute for Focal Point News. I'm Lacey Hudson.
For some, yesterday was the most overrated holiday, and for others, it was a great excuse to eat an extra piece of chocolate. One group of girls spent their Valentine's Day delivering bouquets of flowers to Sparrow Hospital in Lansing. Earlier this week, Zeta Tau Alpha dropped off around 50 bouquets to cancer patients. For every bouquet of flowers the girls received, a patient in the Herbert Herman Cancer Center also received one. The girls also wrote notes on the bouquets to make their day a little extra special.
Last year we actually got letters back with pictures of the patients with their bouquets, and they were just thanking us because it really brightened their day and made what they were going through a little bit better.
Oh, well, that was sweet of them, Kendall.
Yes, it's a sweet way to wrap up our show. Thanks for joining us today. We take you to Cobb Great Hall with the College of Music Symphony Orchestra performing variations on a theme by Haydn. Have a great weekend.